I spared you the monotony of the assembly. I don't like how this air hose makes contact with the plug, or the wire for the plug. Got the regular air fitting here for plugging your hose into. Got the two hose clamps here holding this hose. Luckily they gave us three because one of them was bad. In the front, the air hooks up here, screws on finger tight. Your switch wires screw on here, finger tight. Your pilot arc wire screws on with this red nut, finger tight. Don't over tighten any of this stuff or you'll tear it up. So now we're ready to run. Got our bad spot cut out of the fender here on the driver's side. It wasn't rust, it was like an extreme buckle that wouldn't straighten because these fenders on these things are made of hardened steel and it's hard to bend them, and once they've been dented, it's almost impossible to get the dent out. But I got this LKQ fender right here, like, kind, and quality to cut a piece out of. I've already ground it. I'll cut that piece out, put it in behind this hole, and weld it in. And here's the pilot arc in action. With the pilot arc, you're able to cut through paint and rust and stuff that the other ones without a pilot arc can't get started on. It's a CUT50, but I've got it set on 20 amps with the air pressure of 65 psi. Seems to be cutting flawlessly. I've set my shade at 9 and it's still hard for me to see because it's too dark through the helmet. The arc is nowhere near as bright as a MIG welder arc or a flux core arc. It's been 30 years since I've used a good plasma cutter, so I'm a little rusty. Plus I'm old and my hands are shaky. One thing you'll notice when you watch these cuts is I'm cutting along masking tape, and the masking tape does not catch on fire, and that's because the sparks that are being thrown are not all that hot. It's kind of like a sparkler at 4th of July. You know, it's throwing sparks all over the place, but those sparks aren't all that hot, just like these sparks aren't all that hot. Inverter plasma cutters, such as this one, absolutely disintegrate the metal as the air is blowing it away. The old style or cheaper plasma cutters that had the transformers, they threw hot sparks so it would catch stuff on fire. Here I've got my piece ready to go into the hole. I got this Serenelife 130 amp MIG welder back in 2021. This is the voltage, this is the wire speed, and this is also an inverter machine, so it has a very smooth arc. Extremely easy to weld with once you get it set to the right settings for whatever you're welding. I set it hot because I want to be absolutely certain that I'm getting penetration the second the wire touches the weld joint. The less time you spend achieving penetration, the less likelihood of having warping. I'm welding the patch on the inside because that makes it much easier to finish out. I'm going to do a little bit of grinding on the welds. Flux core welds at this heat range leave a very shallow bead, so it takes very little grinding to grind them down. Then I'll give it a light spread of fiberglass putty over the top of it after it's ground and ready. It's going to have a high quality undercoat on the inside to prevent rust from starting in there. I have a new tiny little Insta360 Go 2 camera stuck to the inside of my welding hood. It's up against my nose a little bit, but no big deal. But it does make it possible to see the welds as they're cooling and such, to see that we're getting true penetration, absolute fusion. If I were welding on late model car sheet metal that's really thin, then I would move around more to spread out the heat, not get it hot anywhere. But in the case of this old 49 model truck, the fender's all beat up anyway, so I want to get it done and get it welded, so I'm just going to town. In case no one has told you, when you're welding vertical, go downhill, not uphill. It does make a difference because you'll have more problems with blowing holes if you're trying to go uphill. Now I'm going to knock all the flux smoke and such off with my fiber disc on my die grinder. I'll do a little bit of grinding before I put the fiberglass putty on it. But none of these welds is actually sticking up very much. Not like a MIG weld bead that is usually pretty tall. I stopped using MIG welder whenever I got my hands on flux core. I welded sheet metal for 42 years before I tried a flux core welder. I sure wasted a lot of time and had a lot of heartache of grinding. No more buying expensive gas either, and that's for sure a plus. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show, and please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching.